Hi everybody, Nick Hancock here. Welcome back to the Maximum Mindless Coaching channel. Now, this video is one that's been actually requested by my athletes. There's been a lot of talk recently in my WhatsApp group around supplementation and how that can help us as runners. Now, I'm going to talk you through exactly all of the things that I take, and it is a bit of a list, I must admit, but I am going to take you through the list of what I take and why I take them. Now, I will always say that this is not advice. This is not what you should be taking. If you are thinking about supplementation, then please do speak to a registered dietitian or a nutritionist, somebody who is qualified to give you that advice. I am a performance nutrition coach. However, that does not allow me to tell you what you should be taking. This is purely what I take and why I take them. Okay, so the other thing that I always put first is my philosophy, and this is taken from the Institute of Performance Nutrition. Lauren Bannock's really good work on his podcast and within the performance nutrition sphere. I am very much about a food first philosophy. So these supplements are not there because I'm not taking something or I'm restricting my diet in some sort of way. I am very much about a food first philosophy, getting as much of my daily nutrients from that food. What I take here is to supplement. That word supplement is super important. Anyway, check the video out. Hope it helps you. If you've got any questions, let me know in the box below in the comment section, and feel free to critique me too, because I'm sure you'll have some opinions. Whoops. Hey everybody, so as requested in the recent WhatsApp chat, here is what I take as supplements to my diet, and that is a key word there: supplementation, not replacement. I am not trying to replace things. I'm not having supplements instead of other things. They are there to cover the gaps, to perhaps there's some sort of adaptation that I'm looking for, or to mitigate something like inflammation during a recovery phase or something like that. Okay, so this is very much about what I'm adding into my diet, not replacing. Okay, so first things first, and probably the easiest one for any of us to supplement, and that is good old caffeine. Now, there is the reason I take caffeine. First of all, I just love a cup of coffee. It does help to make me feel alert. People respond very differently to caffeine. There are people that respond really strongly to caffeine on one end, and then there are people who don't respond to it at all. So we have responders and non-responders. I seem to fit somewhere in the middle, where I could drink coffee all day and not feel terribly different from it. However, what caffeine does is it does block some of the receptors to when we feel fatigue. So from a performance context, rather than just the wake up in the morning and I've had 3 cups of coffee before 6 a.m. From a performance aspect, it does delay that time to fatigue, that time to exhaustion. So, and there are countless studies to back that up. So for me, caffeine is a big one. I love it, and I find it very difficult to not have caffeine. In fact, I get really bad headaches if I try and stop. But why would I try and stop? Coffee is life. So caffeine, number one. Supplement number 2 is protein. I am a big fan of whey protein personally. Now, protein in general is super important for us runners. The general recommendation for endurance athletes, athletes in general, that are undertaking intense sports, is roughly around 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. So for myself, I am somewhere in the region of around 150 grams of protein a day. Let's call it a nice round number. Sometimes slightly more if I'm trying to lose a little bit of body fat, which I am actually doing at the moment. I'm trying to lose a bit of body fat. And the reason I'm keeping my protein higher at the moment is because I want to retain that muscle mass. I don't want to lose that precious muscle mass, and having a high protein intake does help mitigate some of that. But just when I'm in sort of general performance mode, trying to get all the gains I can out of my training, my carbohydrate will go up and my protein will come back down to roughly around that 1.5 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. So for me, 150 grams of protein, which it can be quite hard to get that much protein through diet alone. I try not to eat too much meat. I do eat meat. I enjoy meat. But yeah, having that much protein just through food alone is quite difficult. So I do have protein powder. Some of the ways I use that, really easy one for me, to get that big hit of protein straight off the bat, is around about 50 grams of protein in one serving, is 250 grams of skyr with protein powder, a scoop of protein powder stirred through it, and then berries and oats and things like that. Straight off the bat, started the day with 50 grams of protein. And the days where we thought that we could only process 20 grams of protein at a time are well over. In fact, there was a really good study recently that showed there is no upper limit, really. So yeah, get your protein in, folks. That is super important, and there are plenty of studies to back that up, and that's why I have protein powder. Okay, next one is creatine. And I'm obviously showing you Protein Works powders here because, first of all, I am a Protein Works ambassador. If you want to avail some Protein Works discount, then use the code NICKRUN, NICKRUN, on their website. But I am actually promoting Protein Works from the point of view of I was actually a customer anyway. So when I became a Protein Works ambassador, it was a pretty easy one for me to do because I've liked the products for quite a long time. Just particularly the whey protein, I just find that it mixes really well. Anyway, so creatine monohydrate specifically. Doesn't really matter which brand you have. I mean, obviously for me personally, it's Protein Works, but just 5 grams of this a day. Now, for the longest time, there has been the belief that creatine really is only useful to power athletes, people that are, it helps in the production of adenosine triphosphate, which is a key part of the energy production system in the body. And creatine, for the longest time is sort of attributed to bodybuilders, power lifters, strength athletes. However, what we are learning more about creatine in the endurance world is that, first of all, if it does help you to be stronger, get more power, get more out of your work in the gym, then the offshoot of that is that is going to transfer into you being a stronger runner. Something else that we are learning about creatine is that it can help with reducing delayed onset muscle soreness, so DOMS, as a lot of people know that it's called, and simply just helping with recovery. So that is why I take creatine. A lot of people get a bit scared about creatine because they think, oh well, it's going to retain. It does. There is a little bit of water retention when you take creatine, but that is usually minimal. It's usually at the start. It usually levels out, and it's actually good water retention because that water retention is actually inside of the muscle, so it's not a bad water retention. So the water retention and therefore the weight gain is very minimal and actually doesn't cause the kind of negative effects that we thought originally. Anyway, so protein, and specifically creatine monohydrate. Okay, next one for me is glutamine. Glutamine is a branched chain amino acid. and it is it's the most prevalent one in the body, but it's one that the body doesn't get that much of from other sources, and it can also help to aid in digestion and help in recovery as well. So the way I actually usually sort of take creatine and glutamine is I just pop it into my protein shake. So it's basically like a recovery shake effectively. So I have that with creatine, 5 grams of glutamine alongside the creatine. Next one for me is a multivitamin. Very simple. You will find that some people will say there's no point in taking multivitamin if you are getting everything from your diet. However, for me, anecdotally, I do find that if I don't take multivitamins, I do get more sick more often, especially when volume is high, especially during a taper. The amount of times I've got sick during a taper. And also, quite frankly, I am a father of 2 young kids who go to school with all the other kids, and they're all licking each other's necks or whatever it is they do, and spreading their germs, and they bring home all kinds of stuff. So for me, just taking that multivitamin, I just feel like I'm just covering those bases. And as I say, anecdotally, I do tend to find that I get a little bit more susceptible to sickness if I don't take it. And it does cover everything. There's so many things, and just this one tablet alone, it says it covers pretty much 100% of everything really. So that's a big one for me. Next one is omega-3 fish oils. I feel like I've had to take omega-3, and I have done for many years, even before I started running, because my family is riddled with arthritis for a start. So for that whole joint health side of things, I've taken it for many years. It's probably the one supplement that I've been consistent with for pretty much most of my life. I also take it because from a performance context, there is some potential evidence that it can help aid recovery. So that's another one as well. And also the potential for it to help with heart health. So, and given that running is very much a cardiac sport, that's another reason I take that. Next one for me is a probiotic. This is Protein Works Gut Love. It has 3 billion live bacterial cultures in every serving. I never used to take probiotics or any kind of gut supplementation until fairly recently, actually. We're learning a lot more about gut health for the athlete, and that's where health starts. That we hear about the gut microbiome and all of that translates into just general health. And it kind of goes back to that thing of you are what you eat. So eating healthily is kind of the start, but one of the things that one of the nutritionist speakers talked about at the UESCA conference I went to recently was about why wouldn't you take a probiotic. So I take a probiotic to help with gut health. So that's the one I take. Okay, the next one is a big one for people living in places like the UK where the sun isn't that strong. Even in the summer, I do go up and down with the supplementation of this. This is vitamin D, specifically vitamin D3. This one is from HealthSpan Elite. Really good product, I think. Again, vitamin D has a wide range of functions across the body, and particularly immunity is one of those. Cell reproduction as well. And again, I do feel like if I'm not taking vitamin D, a fairly high strength dosage, then I do get more susceptible to being ill. So I tend to take 2 of these a day. So that's 2000 IU, which is, a fairly high-ish dose. 2 of those a day during the winter, and then I'll drop it down to 1 in the summer where we do have a bit more sun, but even then it's still not that strong in the UK if we ever get any sun. So vitamin D again is another one. Okay, getting on to things that are just a little bit more, I guess, specific and outside of the realms of some of the more general stuff that you'll see. For me, I have recently actually started taking organic turmeric capsules. So turmeric has long been established in natural medicinal spheres, big in India, and it has plenty of evidence to suggest, particularly the compound curcumin, which is a chemical inside of turmeric. The benefit of that is it does help with inflammation. You need to have it with black pepper, so always look for one. If you do decide to go with something like turmeric, always go for one that has plus black pepper, because curcumin doesn't do anything on its own. It needs to have cracked black pepper with it to activate. So for me, I use this to help with inflammation. Inflammation is good. From a training perspective, we need that inflammation for our bodies to be able to adapt. However, I do just find that utilizing turmeric does help with just feeling a little bit better, and also again just because of said arthritis in my family, it does help with joint health as well. So turmeric is a big one for me. Okay, next up is the good old gels. I take gels. I have for a long time used Talk, really happy with that product, and I just don't have any here to be showing some on screen. There have been other videos that I've done where I have used Talk products. I have been playing around with other things recently just to test them out, really. I'm actually quite a big fan of the Science in Sport Beta Fuel. The Science in Sport Go gels I hate. And there's just not that much carbohydrate in them. There's 40 grams of carbohydrate in the Science in Sport. I'm also a big fan of the Precision Fuel and Hydration, specifically their Flow gel, because you can decant this into a soft flask, and for something like an ultra, that was amazing. I used this for CCC alongside Talk caffeinated gels, again because I wanted that time to exhaustion assistance. But really good product. Both of those really good products. And then I say, always a big fan of Talk. I love the flavors and love the support I've had from them over the years. Okay, this one is probably one of the biggest ones that I sometimes use, that there is a bit of debate about, does it actually do anything? Some people will say absolutely not, and others will say absolutely it does. It's really expensive, so I use it sparingly. I tend to use Collagen when I feel like I've got a little bit of a sort of a tendon niggly thing going on. It is debatable whether it does anything for you. The absorption of collagen is quite difficult for the body, so debatable. But I did have a nutritionist that suggested I do have it just alongside when I've got a bit of a niggle, because I've had quite a bad Achilles tendinopathy in the past, completely ruled me out of running for months. So I do take this if I feel like that's getting a little bit niggly, or if I've got any other sort of tendon, connective tissue type niggles. So that's one I do take, but it's not something I go running to on a regular basis. Okay, so now we're getting on to fluids, and this is going to be the last thing. Big fan of electrolytes. I use the Precision Hydration 500 milligrams pretty much every time I go for a run. One of my big downfalls at CCC, UTMB in the summer of 2025 was I went slightly hyponatremic, which is low sodium volume in the blood, and yeah, I got disoriented and hands and face went numb because I drank so much plain water in my bid to stay hydrated. I actually ended up diluting. So now I actually practice, since then, every single run I do, I use a Precision Hydration tab in 500 mils in my soft flask, which I have here. I literally take that on every single run. So first of all, I know I'm getting my electrolytes in, but also I use that as a gut training thing. You know, running with content in my gut pretty much on every run I do, easy and hard and long, means I'm constantly training the gut to have content in it and processing those contents. So yeah, Precision Hydration. I also really like, for a flavour hit, I really like the Torque Hydration, which still has some carbohydrate in it, but much lower. 16 grams of carbohydrate versus the what I would call the energy drink, which is 36 grams, is it? 30.1 grams of carbohydrate. And I actually really like the pink grapefruit flavour Torque. It really helps with flavour fatigue when I'm drinking this alongside taking gels, because a lot of gels are generally really sweet, whereas that pink grapefruit actually cuts through that real sweetness. So yeah, I really like that. But yeah, that for me is electrolytes. And do they help with cramps? You know, we've thought that was a thing for years, but very limited evidence that is actually a thing. It's more to do with muscular endurance than salts. However, again, anecdotally, people do find that helps them. So there you have it, folks. That's my supplement stack. It is a lot. It is a lot of things. But you know, over the years, I have decided that helps me. Those are the things that I like to assist my body with on top of the foods that I eat. So yeah, there you go. Not advice. Do you all need to go and take all of those things? No, probably not. But that's up to you to decide what you feel like you need to add into your diet. And if you really want some help, please do reach out to a nutritionist. And if you want to ask for any recommendations, I work with several that I'm really happy with. So really happy to point you in their direction. And that's it. Cool.